December the 22nd, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful, and it's that time once again for your daily Torment report, where we cover the top posts and activities of Donald Trump and Elon Musk. The two Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who must do what he is driven to do. These two men are tormenting the world. It's no doubt. I just listened to a couple of podcasters mocking both Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and it never ceases to amaze me why these two men. Well, they're the two most powerful men on the planet right now, and they're standing up for you and me. So I think that warrants paying attention to what it is that they're doing and saying. So let's get into this. Let's start with Donald Trump's post. He didn't post a whole lot, but we've got an announcement from him today, which, like Fury said in the chat, a lot of people were thinking he was going to make a declaration of war, and instead he made a declaration of building ships. It was a mildly funny, not his most comedic broadcast, but still pretty good. We'll watch a little bit of it maybe, but not the whole thing because it's like an hour long. And just because we have a lot to, Elon posted a ton. We probably have 120 posts of his to get through, so we're going to jump right into this. All right. Starting off with Donald Trump. So this was 3 days ago. I think this is about where we left off. So these are, so I was just informed. I have just informed Senator Roger Marshall that I have approved $5.7 million for the wonderful state of Kansas in order to recover from severe storms, tornadoes, and flooding. These are tough and smart patriots who love our country and will rebuild stronger than ever before. We're not going to read the endorsements. If you live in one of these states and you're getting ready to vote, go look at his timeline for who he endorses. He's pretty prolific about posting. All right, because of ISIS's vicious killing of brave American patriots in Syria. Did we read these? Pretty sure we read these. That's worth catching up. Because of ISIS's vicious killing of brave American patriots in Syria, whose beautiful souls I welcome home to American soil earlier this week in a very dignified ceremony, I am hereby announcing that the United States is inflicting very serious retaliation, just as I promised, on the murderous terrorists responsible. We are striking very strongly against ISIS strongholds in Syria, a place soaked in blood which has many problems, but one that has a bright future if ISIS can be eradicated. The government of Syria, led by a man who is working very hard to bring greatness back to Syria, and is fully in support. All terrorists who are evil enough to attack Americans are hereby warned. You will be hit harder than you have ever been hit before if you, in any way, attack or threaten the USA. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. This reminds me of a tactic which was used by a guild in a game that I played. So it was called Death Head Legion was the name of the guild. And it was a video game. I think it was called Shadowbane. It was kind of my first entrance into playing massive multiplayer online role-playing games. This was back in like 2000. What had happened is they had it was a family-based guild. I know, crazy name. But it was made up of a bunch of Marines and military people. So they were like very into strategy. And they had a rule that if you touched, so in this game you could plant a tree and like declare a section of the server as your own, and you can build a city there. You could do crafting, manufacture things, and go out and gather resources. And if you wanted to, you could fight each other in what's called player versus player. But what had happened is our guild had this strategy that if anybody on the server touched any member of our guild, we would not only go hunt that person down, but we would also hunt down their city and destroy their city. It was very effective because it inflicted fear on the server anywhere our members were located, to where nobody wanted to do player versus player against somebody unless it was mutually agreed to. So there was no just PKing, which is player killing. And what ended up happening is our guild ended up dominating all of the servers so much that they ended up having to disband the guild because nobody would touch us. They were just afraid of us. So what he's doing is very similar to that strategy, to where he wants people to have enough fear and respect that if they harm anyone from the United States of America, we're going to come take not only you out, but also, anything associated with you, just like root you up and tear you out. It's an effective strategy. I can speak from video game experience. I've seen this work effectively in video games, to where it's a good way. It's very much the rule via strength, or peace via strength, because those who were nice and kind and didn't attack anybody, we got along great, and in fact they would actually come in under our umbrella, and we would defend people who were part of our alliances and our guilds. And he's doing something very similar, trying to rule through strength, peace through strength. You mess with any of our guys, you're going to seriously regret it. So, approved. Watchful approved. All right. Elizabeth McDonald of Fox Business is fantastic. She really understands what is going on in the world of business and far beyond. Of Fox Business. Okay. $9 billion was stolen from the state of Minnesota by illegal Somalian criminals. They must pay a big price now. President Donald J. Trump. Yeah, Elon posted about the Minnesota and Somalian. We'll read about them when we get to his posts. I'll be in North Carolina tonight at the wonderful Rocky Mountain Event Center. So this is not tonight. This was on the 19th. This was on Friday night. I'll be in North Carolina Friday night at the wonderful Rocky Mountain Event Center, and therefore will not be in attendance at Mar-a-Lago for a very special event honoring great House Majority Whip Tom Emmer. He is my great friend and one of the most talented politicians in our country. As the Majority Whip in the United States House of Representatives, Tom is doing a tremendous job advancing our America First agenda. He is fighting tirelessly to grow our economy, cut taxes and regulations, promote Made in the USA, unleash American energy dominance, keep our very secure border secure, stop migrant crime, strengthen our military and veterans, and defend our always under siege Second Amendment. Tom Emmer is a fighter and a winner and has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. Oh, he tricked me, that turd. This was an endorsement. That was a good one, too. I thought he was just like, this is like the endorsement of all endorsements when like the president comes to, where you are to support you. That's a heck. I know tomorrow's not Friday. This was Friday. So I'm reading the posts from Friday. So covering what we missed on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then today. Yeah. Sorry if I didn't make that clear. So this was from December 19th, and it's December 22nd now. So this is in the past. All right. Spoke with Governor Greg Gianforte of the great state of Montana and informed him that I will be approving an emergency declaration for Montana for severe storms they are experiencing this month. I love Montana. Is this like a is this like a prophetic, like you're going to get hit pretty hard, we're pre-approving money for you? I will be approving an emergency declaration for severe storms they are experiencing this month. I guess it's not going to experience, it's experienced this month, but for some reason when I first read that, it kind of hit me odd. Because there's a lot of projected storms that are hitting. There's some weird stuff happening in the sun. I don't know if you guys heard about Stephon Burns did a video on how there's like a giant hole that's never shown up in the sun before. Kind of wondering if the angel hasn't dipped his censer in the sun and got it ready for thrown to the earth when we get to those trumpet judgments where the angel throws the fire to earth. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if we'll talk about that. Depends on time. Mondays typically go a little bit longer than usual. All right, just leaving North Carolina where the crowd was amazing. They will hopefully be voting for Michael Whatley. All right. Oops. Yep. happy birthday to the United States to Space Force. We just started watching that series with what's his face. It's a good series, Space Force. Hilarious. Highly respected and very popular Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman is running to be the next governor of New York. Let's see. The attorneys exposed the corruption of Andrew Weissman. This is an hour-long video. I didn't. I started watching it and started listening to them go through it. It's probably worth your time. Here, maybe we can watch a little bit of the beginning.
Weissman would just sit back in his chair and say, F the evidence, I don't care, indict the guy. He's just a sick guy, in my view, completely corrupt and morally, ethically bankrupt. One of their informants had come in and admitted to that murder, told them flat out that Michael Sessa had nothing to do with it. They refused to dismiss the charges. Almost all of the relevant evidence that would have proved his innocence was withheld from him. And I said, how can you laugh about this? He said, because Weissman is so evil, there's no other reaction you can have but to laugh. They say, well, the government's aware of their obligations. And I always say, yeah, they're aware of their obligations. They just have no intention of fulfilling them. She wrote a lengthy, almost treatise about how bad this corruption was, how deeply it went, and all of that. And still nobody was held accountable for it.
Yeah, I tell you, right now, what we're going through with the curse that's going through the whole land is, Elon Musk has made the comment, he's gone in an effort to try and help, right? DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. And, he went in hopeful that he could make a real difference, and only to realize that the corruption is so bad that, notwithstanding a complete and total reset of the planet, they can only make small strides, really. Because both sides are contributing to the corruption. So he acknowledged that, and I think we'll see that tonight in his post. There's a couple of reposts of him saying such things. We'll bring this up again when we get to it. But I think that's the purpose of this curse, is the curse goes into these places. Like, the fact that we're aware of this corruption, and the corruption has been going on for centuries and millennia. This kind of stuff has been happening in these governments and these systems since the beginning. And we're now aware of it. We're able to see it. For what purpose? It has to be so that we can watch it be taken care of. This is God bringing the curse to an end. He's using a curse to end the curse. And during the process, anointing the most holy, bringing an end to sin, and the end result is going to be the kingdom of heaven, right? We're going to come out of this, and the most holy will have been anointed. So now is not a time to get tired of waiting, to be angry at the Lord, or to start eating and drinking with the drunkards. Now is a time to stay vigilant and prepared, because the Lord's going to return at any time. We've got some ideas for what things look like in the future based on what Jesus gave us. But still, now's the time to stay busy, because this kind of corruption, those who are corrupt and evil, who have been contributing to the problems, are being exposed and eliminated. All right, Trump administration touts most secure border in history as 2.5 million migrants exit the United States. Gas prices hit cheapest December levels in 4 years as holiday travelers hit the road nationwide. Bloomberg. U.S. trade deficit unexpectedly shrinks to smallest since 2020. U.S. trade... okay, so these are just a bunch of headlines. All right. Another one, paychecks outpace inflation for the 5th straight quarter. All of these, he's doing his little happy dance, YMCA dance or whatever. We've seen this one before. GOP Congress delivers historic tax relief, secure borders, safer communities. Dem Congress obstructs government shutdown, yet another impeachment, healthcare for illegals. Such a troll. Trump's narco boat strikes, saving American lives. I do believe that this is one of the big things that he's doing to really help the homeless in our country. Is if you can completely choke off the supply of drugs that are putting a lot of people on the streets, because there's a lot of cities that are supporting that they're downright encouraging people. I mean, I think of Portland. They're pretty much all drugs are okay, and they'll even get them for you. So that's a problem. So how do you deal with people who make those kind of policies and govern in that kind of way? Just cut off their supply. I love it. I love it. Inflation drops to 2.7%, defying expectations. Not mine. I expected inflation to only exist during the first 4 seals, which sadly not most people don't think like that. Just our small group who meet here every day. All right, the peace president. I saw this and it reminded me of the Esdras eagle. Here, let me show you. We'll need to go through this again sometime. I've done a teaching on it before, but it's very interesting. This one right here, Ezra's eagle, from 2nd Esdras 11 and 12. There's this imagery that's talked about that seems very likely to apply to the United States of America. And the feathers are given as representatives of likely presidents, and there's a pattern here that fits, and we've got it where Trump is in here. So multiple books that cover what it is that's happening. Multiple prophecies, but I thought of that when I saw that eagle. Ezra's eagle. All right. I am pleased to announce that I am appointing the great governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, as the United States Special Envoy to Greenland. Jeff understands how essential Greenland is to our national security and will strongly advance our country's interests for the safety, security, and survival of our allies, and indeed the world. Congratulations, Jeff. And I think this is his final post. This is a little homage.
Well, I'm thrilled to be back in this incredible state with so many proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. And let me begin by wishing each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas. We're here tonight to celebrate 11 incredible months. It's been the most successful first year of any president in the history of our country. Since my inauguration, we've created more than 53,000 North Carolina jobs, including 8,000 North Carolina construction jobs. More than 150,000 North Carolina residents have been lifted off of food stamps. We had men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, crime at record levels, the worst trade deals ever made. And our country was laughed at from all over the world, but they're not laughing anymore. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world because we finally have a president who puts America first.
That is so cool. It reminds me, you know, in the next year, in 2026, we've come so far in end time events, and we have answers. I believe we have really good answers because they're factually based. We have answers. We have these pieces to the puzzle of the scripture that's revealing what things meant. Men for centuries have interpreted the Bible and disagreed on what the interpretation is. Like ever since Jesus was crucified and taken away from us, men have been disagreeing on what passages in the scripture mean. And and the canon of the scripture, like which books do have authority, which books have any relevance to explaining why. Why are we here? Who are we? What should we do with our life? Who are you? Why are you here? And what should you do with your life? Those are the questions that we're asking and wanting to have an answer to. And we're getting them. We're as these puzzle pieces reveal themselves and we put them together, it's giving a very irrefutable interpretation of what the scripture means, whether you agree with it or not. There's a lot of people who are just going to outright disagree with it because it doesn't fit what they believe. But this next year, 2026, we're going to be at a tipping point to where, things are going to be happening and we're going to see things like we've never seen before. It's going to get to a point where people are without excuse. And I'm so excited to be here doing what it is that we're doing and seeing these things unfold. And it's just absolutely amazing. I saw you know how the No Kings protests? I saw a video today where Donald Trump addressed that, saying he's no king. He doesn't think that he's a king. He doesn't even think like that. He just loves America and wants to help put it on the right track. And that's the right mentality. It's like we're not lifting anyone above another person. We love God and we love our neighbor as ourselves. And that's really the right mentality to have as we go through these things. As this curse, it's hard to imagine that a curse is a godly thing, but at the same time, it's also justice. The curse goes into the homes of the thieves and the perjurers, according to Zechariah 5, and it burns them to the ground. What are you going to do? That's incoming justice. All right, let's move on to Elon Musk. See what Elon posted today, and then maybe we'll watch a little bit of the announcement that President Trump made today about the boats. What do you guys have to comment on before we move on to Elon, actually? Let's see. Tomorrow isn't Friday. They're suspecting that some of that was laundered back to the Dems. Let's see. Oh, the comment wasn't directed at me. Gotcha. Oh, yeah. So you guys are saying, thank God it's Friday because of the holiday. Yeah, there's a lot of people. I'm unfortunately working most of the week. I probably won't do a show on Friday. What I'll probably do is I've got a couple of videos that I think will be ready by Friday. We'll probably do a couple premieres on there, and I'll just sit in the chat and chat with you guys while the videos play. Yeah. The first always fall. Okay. All right, cool. Moving on to Elon Musk. All right. Did we read this one? No. The biggest fraud in welfare. The government gives tens of thousands of dollars in benefits to the poor, which it doesn't count as income. Yet even as our economy has experienced broad-based growth, real federal welfare spending has soared by 765%, more than twice as fast as total federal spending, and now costs $1.4 trillion annually. Where that money simply doled out evenly to the 19.8 million families the government defines as poor, each household would receive more than $70,000 a year. Oh, this is interesting. So this is must read from Wall Street Journal. So this is Steve Guest's. He posted, must read from the Wall Street Journal. Something is profoundly wrong with the U.S. welfare system. A problem that runs far deeper and is more dangerous than the shocking fraud in Minnesota that has been making headlines. Real federal welfare spending has soared by 765%. So Elon responded to this massive fraud on an unprecedented scale. I don't know if we'll read the posts. That somebody had made a post about Elon Musk being the first person to achieve $600 billion in value. And this is one of those idiots that's just like, oh, that's enough money that he could end homelessness. And I believe he responded with, we haven't ended homelessness with the $1.4 trillion that the government has spent on it. How would, what kind of a difference would it be for me to completely destroy the companies that I've built to help mankind in order to, throw it to the wind like the government does? Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but I believe that's probably why he reposted this, is because even the government, and this exposes a serious problem. Where is this money actually going? It's just like, we make these strides and we advocate for spending more money to help homelessness. and the money's not actually it's if anything, it's having the opposite effect. I imagine that part of the problem is these states like California, New York, Portland, where the sanctuary cities, to where they actually make money by having homeless in their cities. That's incentivizing them to not solve the problem. They're getting money to help the homeless, but they're not actually helping the homeless. Their idea of help is, let's give them some drugs and just, make them happy, which is the worst possible solution ever. And it's costing us more money than ever. And I imagine some of this is probably also going to the illegal immigrants. So it's just bad all the way around. So Elon's massive fraud on an unprecedented scale is an understatement. All right. The Newsom administration allowed at least $32 billion in the unemployment fraud during COVID. No state is even close. Elon responded the fraud was not merely allowed by the California state government, they were the orchestrator. There you go.
Friendly reminder, it doesn't take 60 votes to pass legislation in the Senate. It takes a simple majority. It takes 60 votes to force debate to come to a close. But there are other ways of getting to a final vote cast at a simple majority in the Senate that don't involve cloture. All you have to do is keep debating until nobody shows up to debate, or until everybody has exhausted their right to speak. Yeah. They can only speak twice on the same discrete legislative proposal on the Senate floor during the same legislative day. The same legislative day can be kept open for days, weeks, even months, if necessary, and it has in the past. There are other ways of getting there. We can't continue to see the 60-vote cloture standard as synonymous with what's required to pass a bill in the Senate. That's not how it works. It's not how it was designed. We can do better. Yeah. Friendly reminder, it doesn't take 60 votes.
If you've ever had the unfortunate time watching one of these debates where they're filibustering, they'll get up there and speak for 20 hours in order. It's just the stupid games they play. Elon's responding, end the zombie filibuster. It is violation of the Constitution. It is. It allows idiots and stupid ideas to prevent good ideas. And if we can't end it while we're in control, the Republicans, speaking on behalf of the Republican Party, then I do believe that the Democrats will do it while they're in control and cause a lot of problems, like packing the Supreme Court. All right, if you're wasting your life working on Android with Zuck at Meta, I recommend you quit and join the lunatics. Job postings. Gotta love them. Let's see. Elon Musk, kind of like Jesus when Mary used spikenard perfume on his feet and Judas said that he could have been sold. Oh, regarding the poor. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Austria's invasion is falling behind Belgium's. Only half of first graders are foreigners. The Democratic replacement is going to take a bit longer there. Elon says, Europe will not be Europe much longer unless the domestic birth rate increases and there is a large-scale remigration. Yeah. I don't really see any of that happening before Christ returns. So many people have come into these different countries. Europe's not even making half the effort the United States is. And the United States has successfully closed its borders and is successfully removing immigrants who came in here illegally. But there's still it's like you figure there's 25 million. And even if they're able to remigrate 2 million of them per year, that's still only 8 million. That leaves a lot. I don't think they're, and that's the United States who's making a massive effort. So imagine the other countries who aren't making the same effort and who don't have somebody like Donald Trump in power. Yeah, it's really interesting to watch all this stuff come to pass. So it's going to take, I can't remember, I was posting on a video today. I think it was BP Earthwatch's video about what was it about nuclear, the danger of the nuclear weapons. And I made a comment that I think that it might very well be part of the reason behind the wrath of the Lamb and the wrath of God will very likely wipe out a lot of the nuclear weapons on this planet. So you figure when the Earth rotates, the magnetic pole shifts. Not only is it going to shift the countries out of their place, so the systems that we've built will not only, a lot of them will likely be destroyed, but also rendered unusable for a period of time. But with what's planned for the planet, it wouldn't surprise me if them being destroyed isn't part of what causes, the 1/3 of the sea to die. We talked about this, I think, on Friday when we were going through the trumpets, to where it's very likely something nuclear that kills the fish in the sea. And stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if that isn't one of the side effects of the wrath of God and the wrath of the Lamb, is pretty much cleaning the planet, preparing it for a fresh start with no sin. You won't need nuclear weapons. Just clean them up, get rid of them. Okay, almost skipped this one. 45 universities are now under Department of Justice investigation for deliberately discriminating against white students, punishing them simply for their race while giving unfair advantages to others. This systemic bias is denying white students the opportunity. See, in Hunter Ash, so this was reposted by Elon. This is Hunter Ash. Anti-white discrimination will not stop until those who carry it out are financially crushed. A Supreme Court decision didn't stop them, but financial penalties, ideally including personal liability for specific administrators, would. I hope the Department of Justice follows through. Agreed. Yeah. So Fury in the chat says the Mexicans historically are conservative. The danger is in the Islamics and people like Tucker Carlson. Yeah. Yeah. Who flip-flop. Flip-floppers. Tucker Carlson. Yeah. He got evil real quick, didn't he? Yeah. We don't need to read about Grok. Let's see. It's 3 p.m. on December 20th. Solar is supplying 1/3 of Texas's electricity. Cool. Don't need to read about Grok. Tesla Model Ys have been... Okay, don't need to read about that. This is terrible. Let's see. He set the city hall on fire and wasn't held immediately. Then went on to set a woman on fire 3 days later. This was 100% avoidable if our justice system wasn't infected with activist judges. Elon responded, what judge and DA released a violent felon so that he could attempt heinous murder? Name and shame. Yeah. More Grok stuff. See, 2 Haitian nationals charged with $7 million SNAP fraud in Massachusetts. More theft of your taxpayer dollars. This is from Mario Nawfal. Nawfal. Just so many of these things. All right, what do we have here? Reposts. The Wall Street. This is a Fox News.
All right, Miller. We got Haitians now on the gravy train, not just eating the dogs and cats anymore.
Well, first of all, regarding the situation in Minnesota, and by the way, not just Minnesota, we have Somali refugees that were dumped here by Democrats in Ohio and Massachusetts. Let me just say, we should not be shocked when you import a population whose primary occupation is pirate, that they are going to come here and steal everything we have. Somalia has this giant coastline, and the only industry they have created after hundreds of years is piracy, stealing what anyone going through who has actually built something has made. So yes, the pirates have stolen all of our money, and they have to go home, Jesse. That's the situation we're in right now.
All right, Miller. We got Haitians now on the gravy train.
Yeah. All right, what is this? This is Mario Nawfal. This is Elon at South by Southwest.
Yeah, so as Jonah was alluding to, there are a lot of negative things in the world. There's a lot of terrible things that are happening all over the world, all the time. There are lots of problems that need to get solved. There's lots of things that are miserable and kind of get you down. But life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. That can't be the only thing. There need to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to wake up in the morning and be part of humanity.
Amen.
Yeah, so
he used to be a lot harder to listen to. He's gotten a lot better at answering. He's getting better at his public speaking, that's for sure. But I mean, that's a great point. There needs to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to wake up in the morning and be part of humanity. Amen. All right, let's see. From Mike P. Holds button on steering wheel to activate Grok. I need to go to Home Depot, but I want to supercharge after. Can you take me to whichever nearby Home Depot is closest to a supercharger, and then take me to the supercharger after the Home Depot? That actually works. That worked for us. We've used that. It's amazing. It's fantastic. We'll sit there and have a conversation. Oh my gosh, we had the funnest. We had a conversation with Grok yesterday that was so funny. We should make a TikTok out of it. Grok refuses to allow you to get the last word. It will always get the last word. So when you start a conversation, when it ends it'll always like, thanks, no problem. Ask me if you have anything else. And then if you just keep responding, it will go endlessly. We were in stitches. It's hilarious. Grok is very funny. All right, let's see. What's this? That's just audio. Full self-driving enables your Tesla to drive you to your destination, find a free spot, and park itself, all on its own. Yes, indeed, it does. All right, from Newsmax.
Policy is clear, though. Financial housing assistance is not just for all low-income persons, but instead particularly for those residents. So what can you explain about that and what's going on in Boston?
Yeah, so Bob, they put race above reality. They put race above merit and need, using the Fair Housing Act as a weapon to promote discriminatory housing policies. And at HUD, our responsibility is to uphold the Fair Housing Act, to uphold the law and to enforce the law. And that's exactly why you see us launching this investigation. And you alluded to, in the city's own words, they say, we will integrate racial equity at every layer of city government. What that tells us right there, it's not about need, it's not about following the law, but it's about DEI. And at HUD, DEI is dead, it's over. And the president, with his leadership, this administration, we want to uphold the law. We want to protect the civil rights of every American. We are about equal rights, but not extra rights. And that's what you see going on in Boston.
Yeah, they wanted to advance that DEI agenda instead of just having a fair playing field for all of us.
Yep. Let's see. Deep State, so from Tulsi Gabbard, Deep State warmongers and their propaganda media are again trying to undermine President Trump's efforts to bring peace to Ukraine and indeed Europe by falsely claiming the U.S. intelligence community agrees to and supports EU NATO viewpoints that Russia aims to invade, conquer Europe in order to gin up support for their pro-war policies. The truth is that the U.S. intelligence assesses that Russia does not even have the capability to conquer and occupy Ukraine. What to speak of invading and occupying Europe? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I get that sense. We've always believed that Russia was like, this massive superpower, barely rivaled by the U.S., and it's turning out that may not be the case. Yeah. From Mario, dead people got federal housing aid, and Colorado's just the start. The Trump administration is now investigating Colorado after a brutal audit by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Elon just says more government fraud. Yeah, there's a massive amount of fraud. Your chances of being born on each continent. North America has a tiny birth rate. Don't really care about that.
Nothing. When we talk about contributions to society, he's done nothing but help this society, medical developments, rescuing astronauts, and more. And yet, George Soros, for example, a billionaire that has led directly to the destruction of society, deaths, and yet that's who Walls is calling to demonize?
Yeah, I love that we're starting in reverse order because that really teed me off. Elon Musk, what has this man contributed to the globe? SpaceX, the first time private sector sent people up into space. And then, oh, wait, you rescue the astronauts who have been stranded there for months and months and months. And then you look over at Tim Walz. And what has Tim Walz given us? Stolen valor, a ton of mistruths that were all spoken about and came to light in the campaign, a failed vice presidential run, and rooting against an American stock that, oh, wait, in your state, your retirement fund happens to own as one of the key stocks. He rooted against the Tesla stock. So Tim Walz, we're going to go with the guy, Elon Musk, who continually innovates, continually makes lives better as you look at your little phone and your stock app and cheer every time Tesla goes down.
Yep. So Fury says, no, they tried to claim Russia wants World War III, but they don't. Europe and the warmongers want it and want us to start it. Very true. Very true. This is built a 200,000 line socket lib library in C with Grok from the ground up. Then wrote curl in 470 codes, 240 comments. Yeah, let's see. A Google researcher spotted many major bugs in his code right off the bat. Headers aren't okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, you can do a lot with AI. You can do a lot with AI, especially in regards to coding. I've been personally building out a system to repurpose the clips from this show so that we can start posting clips. I'm trying to automate the process. So it'll go through the clips. It'll look for interesting moments and then clip those out so that we can repost them as shorts or on the video in a way that's automated. Trying to get more done in less time. All done with AI. Pretty close. I actually got a lot done this weekend. I can't take credit for building it from the ground up, but working on an editor that kind of works towards this to where I just have to basically approve things. Getting pretty close to it. I don't know if I'll release it. It's just something for the show so that we can get more done in less time. Let's see. The self-driving car is simply a couch that moves. That's true. Cars won't compete with other cars. They'll compete with living rooms, offices, and beds. Elon says true. I love it. XI is hiring. Okay, yeah, this is a job posting. All right, what is this from? Let's see, S.E. Robinson Jr. SpaceX News. One of the items on the newly published City of Starbase, January 8th, City Commission regular meeting agenda is to receive a presentation regarding a proposed Starbase public library. The City of Starbase Public Library. Cool. All right. So Fulton County, Georgia, Atlanta now admits they completely violated the law with their 2020 vote tally. Read below. This not only cost Trump the state, it also cost Republicans a Senate seat, which gave Democrats control in 2020. I've been seeing a lot of this come out. Which gave control. So Fulton County admits they violated the 2020 rules when they certified 315,000 early votes that lacked poll workers' signatures. Interesting. See, we don't dispute the allegations. The SOS also found FC violated official election processes. Fulton County admits. Oh, there you go. Is this a video or no? That's an article. We don't need to read that. We get the point. Yep. Elon just says, wow. Okay, so this is good. This is Elon Musk dressed up as Santa when he was 5 years old. Good Lord. I don't know. Did he, is this the one that has the other ones? So he actually did this. Oh, geez, somebody animated it. Great. 1980 Santa smells like whiskey and marble 100s. I was going to try and find the other one. There's another one that's floating around where Elon responded to it and said that this was on Purim, which Purim is a Jewish holiday that celebrates their freedom. So Esther and Mordecai. So their freedom from, annihilation. That's what Purim is. And apparently this was on Purim. Because contrary, so a lot of people don't know this, but Elon was raised both Jewish and Christian. He won't say that he is, but he went to a Jewish school and a Christian school. And he was an avid reader. So he's a lot like me to where he won't ascribe to a particular denomination because we're all part of the same religion. It's either you either follow God or you don't. People like to nitpick about who or what that is, but it's for me, it's like, yeah, I believe in God. Who is God? Well, he's the source of everything. Why do you want to, what difference does the label make? He's the source of everything, period. It's a lot easier when you think like that, I believe. Everybody wants to overcomplicate everything just so that we can fight with each other. Why do we need to fight? We don't need to. Let's see. More job offers. Federal payrolls have declined every single month of Trump's second term for a cumulative reduction of more than 270,000. A tremendous savings for taxpayers. This wouldn't have been possible without the work of Elon Musk and DOGE. What a great picture. There's your two witnesses right there, people. Yeah, you don't have to agree with me, but there's not any better candidates right now, at least not that I'm aware of, and ain't nobody sending me any comments or suggestions for who makes better two witnesses than these two. One thing's for sure, they do torment the world, and I love it. It's a fun show to watch. All right, are they really refugees? Let's see. Sweden, 79% of refugees have vacationed in country they fled from. What? 79% of refugees have vacationed in country they fled from. Terror in Sweden. There's a war on the streets just this month. 30 bomb attacks. They're not refugees fleeing danger if they're vacationing in Oh, that's a good point. He's got a point. You can't claim asylum because your life is in danger and then go back to where you came from for a vacation because obviously your life ain't in danger. Yeah. That's a good point, Fury. Jews and Christians believe you have the right to choose your beliefs. Islamics believe they get to choose for you. Big difference. Unfortunately, so do some Christians. Agreed. Yep. See, this is just a reminder that $100 billion was raised for First Aid LA and $0 went to fire victims. $0. So many charity scams. Before George Floyd, the media reported the race of white offenders twice as often as black offenders. After Floyd, reports mentioning black offenders dropped by 50%, while reports mentioning white offenders more than doubled. Today, the media reports white offenders race 8 times more. Wow. Before, after. Grok stuff. Fraud in California is insane. Gavin Newsom has spent $24 billion to end homelessness. Homelessness actually increased by 35,000 people. What a shame. If you pay organizations per homeless person, you get more homeless people, and the NGOs fight hard to maximize the homeless population. Whatever you incentivize will happen. That's exactly right. This is why you can't just throw money at the problem and expect, people to be good. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Biden won Georgia by 11,779 votes. Now, over 5 years later, they admit 315,000 votes in Georgia were actually counted illegally. Interesting. Massive voting fraud uncovered, according to Elon. All right. What do we have here? This is from Unusual Whale. Scott Bessett, the Fed is turning into universal basic income for PhD economists.
My worry is that the Fed is turning into universal basic income for PhD economists. Right. That I don't know what they do. They're never right. If you were to
maybe you should double the number of PhDs. If you go to 700, they might get it right.
Well, look. I mean, if you were to look at the central value tendency versus how they've done, it's shocking.
Right.
It's shocking. You know, I said, like, if air traffic controllers did this, no one would get in an airplane. My word.
That is hilarious. You could say the same thing about government too. Is not only the Fed, but also government is turned into universal basic income for PhDs and elites. Because, you know, these people who are only worth, you know, $100,000 before they get into government turn into, you know, multimillionaires once they're in government. And then things just get worse. I ain't doing anything. It's just like, you know, send more money to help homelessness. Really what you're doing is that they just have clever ways of feeding it into their own pockets. And that's the problem. And that's why they hate Donald Trump and Elon Musk so much, because they can't buy them. They can't control them with money because they're the most powerful men in the world. And in some cases, the richest men in the world. Elon's the richest. Donald Trump's been there multiple times. He's been the richest man in the world multiple times. You know, he does. He works as our president for free. His incentive is humanity, taking care of humanity. Taking care of people. You know, that's somebody who's standing beside the Lord of the whole earth. Same thing with Elon Musk. Every business that Elon Musk has built and everything that he does is for the betterment of mankind, period. That's standing before the God of the whole earth. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So they all have something in common. See, alarmist in politics and media said closing USAID would result in ruin. Nearly a year later, they've been proven wrong. We aligned foreign relief with national interest, refined disaster response capability, and leveraged the ingenuity of American companies to save lives. Rubio unloads on alarmists, touts State Department disaster response after USAID closure. Okay. Remember that Trump was indicted for pressuring Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to investigate election integrity in his state. And that this was linked with his impeachment. Kind of looks like Trump was right and was punished for asking appropriate questions. Elon says yes. This is pretty good. Tesla Robovan was literally... Let's see, Tesla Robovan will literally become your living room on wheels. Very cool. This will change the look of the streets at Tesla. Yep. I have now passed 6,000 consecutive miles of non-rounded up, actual, true, 100% intervention-free full self-driving 14.2. That's the version of it. Driving in my 2025 Model 3 Premium Long Range. There you go.
California, about 1.6 miles to get it back on I-5. But we're just about to cross 6,000 intervention-free miles. It's heavily raining out. The camera doesn't do it justice, but we're in sloth mode, and it's even going under the speed limit. And we have this persistent weather warning that won't go away. But we got half a mile to go. The camera's clearing up a little bit, but still bad enough for the...
Yeah, full self-driving, guys, is very cool. Pretty soon, you're not even going to need to supervise it. Pretty soon, you're just going to get in, hit your destination, and it's just going to drive you there, and it takes care of all situations. You know, the biggest concern is, oh, well, what if it runs into, you know, XYZ situation? Our biggest concern is we're on a blind driveway when we're exiting, and so far it does a famous job. It does an amazing job, probably better than we do. You know, paying attention to traffic. It does it just fine. I didn't think it would be able to, but it surely does. See, NASA has announced the crew for SpaceX, Crew 12, Jessica Meyer, Jack Hathaway, Sophie Adenauer, Andrei Fedyaev, will launch to the station in February. The quartet will advance research and technology for future Moon and Mars missions. Cool. All right. What is so now we're getting into, so these are what the posts I was telling you about when we were going through Donald Trump's posts.
So we saw, there was a case where we saw one person was getting $1.9 billion sent to their NGO, which basically got formed about a year ago and had no prior, really no prior activity. The whole NGO thing is a nightmare, and it's a misnomer, because if you have a government-funded non-governmental organization, you're simply a government-funded organization. It's an oxymoron.
Right. It's a loophole.
Yes. It basically, the government-funded NGOs are a way to do things that would be illegal if they were the government, but are somehow made legal if it's sent to a so-called nonprofit. But these nonprofits are then used to, people cash out these nonprofits. They become very wealthy through nonprofits. They pay themselves enormous sums through these nonprofits.
It's so insane that that's been going on for so long.
It's a gigantic scam, like one of the biggest, maybe the biggest scam ever.
And how many NGOs?
I think there's a total number of NGOs, probably millions, but in terms of large NGOs, tens of thousands.
Wow. That's why it pays to get in the government. They've figured out the loopholes. This is a good one, too.
Well, I mean, if you look at, say, FEMA, like the agency that was paying for illegal aliens to stay at luxury hotels in New York was FEMA. That's an agency that's meant to support Americans in distress from natural disasters, was paying for luxury hotels for illegals in New York.
It's true. Yeah.
That's a fact.
Fact.
They're literally, like, when we stopped that payment, we stopped all those monies, because that's obviously an insane way to spend taxpayer money. The New York sued the federal government to get the money. So you can just look at their lawsuit. They were sending that money even after President Trump signed an executive order saying it needs to stop. They still press send on $80 million to luxury hotels in New York. Your tax money went to pay for illegal aliens in luxury hotels in New York from an agency that is meant to help Americans in distress from natural disasters.
Yeah. I wish they would send me money to stay in a luxury hotel. Wouldn't that be great? It's our money anyway. It's the money you and I pay in taxes. This was such an evil thing for them to do. That's what so he reposted this. This is his interview with Joe Rogan recently. It's a great interview. It's like 2 to 3 hours long. Well worth watching. It's kind of old at this point. We've covered a bunch of stuff from it, but still worth it. Let's see. Lawrence Reed was arrested 72 times after an assault judge Melina Gonzalez denied the prosecutor's petition to detain him. Judges must be held accountable. These people, we know they're going to hurt people. We know they're going to hurt and potentially kill people, and they still let them go. They should be held accountable, 100%. LOL opened in New York. Let's see. So this is Mark Thiessen. Op-ed in New York Times says conservative candidate in Chilean presidential election defeated his center-left opponent by about 16 points. His opponent was the candidate of the Communist Party. Apparently, for the New York Times, communism is now center-left. Okay. All right, another repost. This is from Cernovich. Americans of European descent are tired of being told they alone are not allowed to have an ethnic identity. Everyone else can form a race gang like it's prison and then attack whites who are told they are racist for even saying anything back, let alone fighting back. Yeah. Rudy. Rudy Giuliani was ruined by the Dems for calling them out on the stolen 2020 election in Georgia. Bankrupted, disbarred, charged, and forced to pay $148 million in damages. to Ruby Freeman and Shane Moss. Let's see. Give Rudy his effing money back. This is from DC Drano. You can't be liable for defamation when you're telling the truth. Georgia's election was rigged to the gills, and Rudy fought against the thug criminals who stole it. Agreed. Give him back his money. Let's see. The best holiday party at XAI. Oh, I don't even want to look at that because then I don't want to go work there. Breaking. SpaceX now has over 9,000 satellites orbiting Earth, twice as many as the rest of the world combined. And they're getting bigger and bigger. I really wonder if these aren't the stars falling to the Earth when the seal number 6 opens. Something like that. Let's see, full self-driving. We've covered that too well before already. They were all immigrants. So this is from Sean Davis. They were settlers. The word immigrant didn't even exist when the Mayflower first arrived. And the first known usage of the word immigrant didn't occur until after America declared independence. Immigration as a word was first coined by Noah Webster in 1828. So no, the founders of this great nation were not immigrants. They were explorers, settlers, and conquerors who came here to establish a great nation from nothing. Agreed. Nice. Tesla, Grok. Casual robot fight at XAI's Christmas party. No, back to work. Okay, we gotta watch this. Can we watch it? It's not playing. There we go. Nope. Come on, play. It's broke. Darn it. All right, Elon Musk confirms SpaceX has $100 trillion potential. Insane amount of work between here and there, but it is possible. Okay.
What up, Hyperchange? We've got some emergency news to discuss. There is a new announcement from the U.S. government about building a base on the moon. And Elon Musk has chimed in with the new SpaceX bull thesis. That's right. If we weren't getting way too excited about SpaceX's IPO already and Tesla becoming the world's most valuable company and going to 10 trillion. Well, now Elon Musk is confirming that SpaceX has got $100 trillion vision on the table. That's right. Literally, this would make SpaceX as big as the entire economy of the globe today, which is $100 trillion. Sure. And we're going to get so sci-fi here. This is even mind-boggling. It's all about SpaceX becoming the AI company operating these data centers in space. You might be scheming on what I'm scheming on. How many of these can they launch if it's in a rocket? Well, the answer is they can launch a lot of data centers in space on Starship, SpaceX's biggest rocket. But what happens after that? Today we got a little sneak peek. So we get this.
I really think that whatever it is that they're doing today, these new executive orders and these new missions, these new directives that we're taking on in outer space very likely contributes a lot to the trumpets that we read on Friday. Like the mountain that falls from the sky and into the ocean. What's the size of how big is a mountain? That's got to be, it could be a meteor. But it could also be something that they're building that just falls to Earth. Yeah.
Official announcement from the U.S. government where they're talking about establishing the initial elements of a permanent lunar outpost by 2030 to ensure a sustained American presence in space and enable the next steps in Mars exploration. So we're not just going back to the moon, but we're building a permanent base on the moon. And then this Eric Berger analyst or a journalist, who's, shout out to him, he's been crushing it talking about SpaceX and being one of the, he's worth a follow. So he goes, what do we think permanent lunar outpost means here? Surface base, lunar gateway, deliberate obfuscation. What? And then Elon Musk chimes in, not tagged or anything, and goes, giant lunar base with AI satellite factories and a mass driver to shoot them into deep space, of course. What? That's right. He wants to build a giant lunar base with AI satellite factories with a mass driver to shoot them. So I was trying to ask Grok what the hell this meant. But essentially, if you put stuff on the moon and use some sort of magnet beam, I don't even know, and launch it, it's way cheaper than even launching on Starship. So eventually, when we want to launch these massive data centers into space, we're not even just going to use rockets anymore. We're going to use this permanent base on the moon to launch these massive structures. What? I mean, this is
Weird.
so sci-fi. It's actually insane of how cool and sci-fi it is. And so Elon Musk says, okay, all of a sudden we're getting into these. He doesn't say anything about SpaceX, just AI satellite factory on the moon. Okay, that's humble enough. AI satellite factory on the moon. Then Alternate Jones chimes in. This is what will make SpaceX the world's first $100 trillion company. Elon Musk replies, yes. What? He replied, yes. And then this other guy planted a meme, says, send a fleet of Optimus robots to get started on the solar farm. Elon replies, 100. Whoa, we've got a lot to unpack here. It feels like SpaceX was being like the world's best kept secret of how exciting the potential was until a month ago, and Elon Musk decided to let the cat out of the bag and say, we're building data centers in space. You think the Earth economy of 100 trillion is big? That's a joke compared to where we're going with data centers in space. This business alone is going to be 100 trillion. So this is, I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around here, but it's you know, when you're following these Elon Musk companies, Tesla, SpaceX, what is the North Star they're building on? Even though it sounds crazy, even though it sounds ambitious, even though it may take 20 years, these companies do it and they get there, and that becomes their North Star that they're working towards. So, I mean, basically what we have happening here is I can't even believe this. Basically, we're going back to the moon. There's going to be the biggest factory ever on the moon that's launching these space data centers owned by SpaceX, and it's going to be the biggest industry in the world. Can you even believe that? And then what do they mean when they say send a fleet of Optimus robots to get started on the solar farm? So there's going to be a huge solar farm on the moon too that's going to be built by Tesla? Are we talking about that too? Maybe the solar and Optimus. So now I'm thinking Optimus in space is a huge question mark for me of maybe there's going to be a million Optimuses on the moon just operating this SpaceX launch center. I mean, it's crazy how sci-fi the future is getting so super fast. And it comes back to this, you know, thing that it's almost the dumbest idea in finance, but also the most accurate. SpaceX is going to space where there's unlimited TAM. Total addressable market is unlimited. The potential for space is unlimited. Yeah. So when you're SpaceX and you own the cheapest launch costs and you have the best space exploration technology, I mean, the potential is literally unlimited. And eventually people are going to get too carried away with the potential and get too excited, and there will be some sort of space or AI bubble. But I also think this looks real. I mean, SpaceX has developed the world's biggest, most reusable rocket. They are pushing the vanguard on, you know, space exploration, technology, rocket science, all of that. Where does this go from here? Eventually launching more and more mass into orbit, and that involves this crazy lunar base. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, but I mean, I think this makes me way more bullish on SpaceX than I was. I mean, at first it was just going up, doing launches, launching Starlink, and now we kind of have this seemingly undeniably what could be the world's largest business, data centers in space, with this moon base. Like, how does that even work? A moon base owned by SpaceX? When does this business happen? Like, I think it's going to take 10 years before, it's going to take years and years before this happens, but also...
No, not when they're launching 165 missions per year. I mean, like, that's a massive amount of payload. And they're planning to increase it. What is it? They're working on towards, you know, multiple times. It's like every hour they want to start launching. And I believe they're going to get there. It's just going to 2026 is going to be crazy. So they've already done 165 just this year alone. 165 missions. So imagine if they double or triple that next year. This is where I see that whatever it is that they're building, they could literally be building something the size of a mountain that when the Earth rotates at the end of the year, when the Earth rotates, it falls to the Earth, into the ocean, and poisons the water. Could be, or it could be a meteor the size of an ocean. I don't know. Grok, and this is Jensen.
No task is to me, no task is beneath me, because remember, I used to be a dishwasher, and I mean that. I used to clean toilets. I mean, I cleaned a lot of toilets. I've cleaned more toilets than all of you combined. and some of them just can't unsee. I don't know what to tell you.
That's probably why I like him.
That's life.
It's humble.
And so you can't show me a task that's beneath me. Now I'm not doing it only because of.
This is great. Elon's responding, "This is the way," which that's a quote from The Mandalorian, the Mandalorian Creed. This is the way. That's true. I mean, like, even the wealthiest among us, there's things that aren't beneath them. You know, these two men are very, very wealthy. Jensen's in charge of $1 trillion company, and Elon Musk is in the charge of multiple trillions of dollars of companies. And he got his start cleaning toilets. Not born with a golden spoon in their mouth, either one of them.
You know, whether it's beneath me or not beneath me. If you send me something and you want my input on it, and I can be of service to you, and in my review of it, share with you how I reasoned through it, I've made a contribution to you. I've made it possible for you to see how I reason through something, and by reasoning, as you know, how someone reasons through something empowers you. You go, oh my gosh, that's how you reason through something like this. It's not as complicated as it seems. This is how you reason through something that's super ambiguous. This is how you reason through something that's incalculable. This is how you reason through.
That's what we're doing in the scripture. This is why we're going through the scripture the way we're going through it. We observe, we identify the facts that are potential matches, and we reason through it to see what fits. This is the way.
Through something that, you know, seems to be very scary. This is how you seem. Do you understand? And so I show people how to reason through things all the time. Strategy things, you know, how to forecast something, how to break a problem down, and you're empowering people all over the place. And so that's how I see it.
That was sweet. I like that. Grok Media, chat, XAI. What is this? Oh, this is hilarious.
I'd like a tattoo of this really awesome Chinese symbol that I saw.
We're definitely gonna need your parents to come sign off on it.
It's my body, my choice.
You're 14. Take it from me. You're gonna regret it one day.
All right, then can I just buy some of those cigarettes?
No way. Smoking is so bad for you.
How about a beer?
No.
A vape pen?
No.
A lighter?
Not in this state.
Can I rent a car?
Sorry.
A bottle of cough syrup?
What are you, drunk?
Fireworks?
You might blow yourself up.
That Ruger GP100 and a box of 38 Special?
You might shoot your eye out.
Can I just, I don't know, like get an irreversible gender surgery?
No problem. We'll get started right away.
Oh, cool. I don't need my parents' permission.
Of course not. What if they're non-affirming?
I'd like a tattoo of this really awesome.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Yeah, you can destroy your future, destroy your body, but nothing else. Copyright from the Babylon Bee. Let's see. The copyright from the Babylon Bee was removed and the video misappropriated to the Instagram account. Okay. Oh, what do you got to say here, Elon?
Well, my biggest concern for Europe is that the birth rate is half replacement rate.
Yes.
So Europe is rapidly becoming, with each passing year, older and older, with fewer and fewer young people. So I think at a most fundamental level, unless Europe has a birth rate at least roughly equal to replacement rate, it is in population freefall. Population collapse is what's going on in Europe. And my biggest concern for Europe.
Yep. Unfortunately. Grok, full self-driving. What do we got here? Make life multiplanetary.
A new era in space flight, a new era in space exploration. We're going to go to the moon. We're going to have a base on the moon. We're going to send people to Mars and make life multiplanetary. And I think this day heralds a new age of space exploration. a new era in.
Very cool. All right, yet another 700 illegals have crossed the English Channel today. Starmer is gutless and useless. Katie Miller says the correct term is invasion. I like Katie Miller. I never knew who she was until she did the interview with Elon Musk. Hassan Sajwani, breaking the UAE Defense Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, and Dubai Crown Prince, welcomes Elon Musk in Dubai. Cool. Let's see, do we even want long-form movies in the future? If you haven't tried X video function that automatically feeds you an unending list of short and current videos, you haven't seen the future. It is by far my favorite form of video entertainment. Wait, what? X video function that automatically feeds you an unending list of short and current videos. I haven't seen this. Is this like doom scrolling on YouTube Shorts? I know deliver endlessly without me touching my device after it starts. So it just keeps playing. AI video streaming is coming. Will it become watchable? Denny Ellis Bacard, Scientific American, Disney, and OpenAI's. Yeah, I imagine this is where video is going. I'm kind of excited for it because there are shows that were canceled early, specifically Firefly. I loved that show, Firefly. Also, there was a movie called Serenity with Nathan Fillion. Oh, what a good show. There was only like 9 or 10 episodes. And they canceled it far too soon, but it's like a space cowboy opera. Freaking amazing. I would love to be able to AI generate more storyline for that because it was such a good show. Let's see, it's solid. Let's see, it's a solid effort. More needs to be done. 605,000 number is somewhat misleading because it includes people turned away at the border. I don't know what this is talking about. ICE is arresting 1,000 illegal immigrants a day. In 4 years, that's only 1.5 million people out of the 10 to 30 million. Self-deportation is working.
Last night, Trump gave an address to the nation. He talked about his wins. But you know what he didn't talk about? Deportation numbers. And maybe that's because they're not that impressive. Let's look at the math. The administration says they've deported over 605,000 people since January 20th. But hold on. What's the definition of deportation? Well, there are 2 types of deportation, but that number lumps together border enforcement, which is people getting caught at the border and turned back, with interior enforcement, aka ICE raids. Internal DHS data shows ICE is arresting about 1,000 people daily. At that rate, we're deporting roughly 365,000 people a year. Over 4 years, that's 1.5 million. But hold on, there's an estimated 10 to 30 million people in the country illegally. So we're spending $75 billion using Sabrina Carpenter songs to make hype videos of deportations, and Trump is spending enormous political capital, all to deport 5 to 15% of illegal immigrants. That's spectacle, not strategy. And the prediction market saw it coming. Most people on Kalshi said this strategy would result in less than 500,000 deportations. And they were right. Now, if we're going to do something controversial, shouldn't we do it right, like Trump did with closing the border? Now, here's what is working. Self-deportations. Trump's team claims 1.9 million people have voluntarily left. Even if that's inflated, it dwarfs forced deportations at a fraction of the cost. Why? Because we changed the incentives. We offered both carrots and sticks. $1,000 and a free flight if you leave voluntarily, a 10-year ban if we have to force you out. And yeah, fear of ICE raids is another stick. But you know who we haven't hit with a stick? Big corporations. Even Tom Homan, Trump's own border czar, said, nobody hires an illegal alien from the goodness of their heart. They hire them because they can work them harder, pay them less, and undercut their competition. So why aren't we going after the big corporations hiring those people the most? Take Asplund Tree Company. During Trump's first term, They were sentenced for hiring thousands of illegal immigrants. They got fined $95 million. And that sounds like a lot until you realize it's 2% of their yearly revenue. They paid and kept cutting trees. 3 managers pleaded guilty to felonies. None of them went to prison. And executives weren't even charged. That's the system. We should deport when needed, but that's drops in a bucket. If you want massive results, turn off the flow of money. Trump promised results. Right now, we're getting a lot of noise and not as much results. So ask yourself, do you want a victory lap or a victory? If you want to go deeper on stuff like this,
It's a solid effort. More needs to be done. Yeah. True. Elon said true. Let's see. I keep telling people they cannot comprehend how bad things are. People don't want to believe me. It's just not welfare fraud. Let's see. Can you wrap your mind around how crazy it is to see $9 billion of Medicaid fraud in one state? Imagine a $1 million house. There's enough Medicaid fraud in Minnesota to buy 9,000 of them. That's half of the GDP of Afghanistan, 3/4 of the GDP of Somalia from one state. About half or more of the roughly $18 billion in claims paid out by Medicaid to Minnesota-run programs may have been fraudulent, and at least 14 programs were likely exploited. Oh, shoot. We lost our spot. We were getting pretty close to being done there, though. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe we still have ways to go. Hang on. Saw that. I'll never forget the day DOGE discovered that FEMA was spending $59 million to house illegal aliens in luxury hotels in New York City, all while FEMA nearly kicked out 3,000 Americans from their hotel rooms in the dead of winter in western North Carolina after a hurricane. Yeah. Let's see. If juries convicted or acquit based on political or tribalistic allegiance, our justice system is gone. I don't know how we solve this within the current framework. So many judges are corrupt too, and there are a few, if any, checks and balances to ensure they actually apply the law. This is true. This is why you were going to suffer the Lamb's wrath and God's wrath, because that's the only thing that's going to clean the system. Macro hard from space. So this is the new data center. Okay. Macro harder coming soon. Okay. California is the fraud capital of America. Let's see, from Joe Lonsdale. At first look, it's baffling. How could Gavin possibly run for president with all this California fraud and waste on his watch? Simple. Who profits from all this nonsense? He's proven his worth to be a bevy of interests, and they're excited for him to control even larger purse strings. Yeah. This is messed up. One glorified Charlie Kirk getting killed. One politely asked to speak English. Guess who got fired by her school? Messed up. Let's see. If you're an Android, let's see. If you're an Android engineer with more than 10 years of experience, we'll pay you an extraordinary amount of money. What is this? You will have more fun here than any other role in your life. What are you waiting for? We're hiring Android engineers at XAI to build X and Grok, looking for driven builders to join our lean, fast-moving team. Cool. That's just a job offer. If you're an Android engineer, Let's see. Every European country is now below replacement fertility. Civilizations disappear when they stop having children. H.A. Sheikh Khalid and Elon Musk in Abu Dhabi. Let's see. Peter Sweden. Google is now accusing the British government of attacking free speech and undermining people's rights to free expression with the Online Safety Act. Over 12,000 people are now arrested every year in Britain for social media posts, which is ridiculous. They don't have freedom of speech over in Britain. You know what this reminds me of with the wrath of the Lamb and the wrath of God coming? It almost makes me wonder, when you read the book of Genesis, it reads as though God is putting the planet back in order. So I almost wonder if God's wrath isn't on a cycle. You know, if civilization, we see what's happening when it's allowed to get to a certain size. You know, truly great people emerge, and then, you know, the worst of the worst also are exposed. And it gets so bad that the only way to fix it is to completely destroy it. I wonder if we're not on a cycle, if this isn't the beginning of Genesis, because it talks about in the beginning, when God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. It says that he's brooding over. So in the earth, there's a verse that says the earth became without form and void. Or actually, in most English translations, it's the earth was without form and void. But in the Hebrew, it's the Hebrew tehu vu bahu, could be translated, and the earth became without form and void. I almost wonder if God's wrath, what we're getting ready to go through with the 7 trumpets, isn't... I almost wonder if God's wrath... Here, I can show you what I'm talking about here. So in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. This word right here, the earth was, this is the tehu vu bahu. It could read the earth became without form and void, and darkness on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. I almost wonder if this isn't describing what happens after the 7 seals. When he opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for about a half hour. Then I saw the angels stand before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets, and another angel having a golden censer. So basically, this is all the destruction that takes place on the earth after the 7th seal is opened. And then so what happens to the earth after that? I imagine it gets put back in order again. We kind of go back to the beginning in Genesis. I don't know, just a kind of a weird thought I have about these cycles. All right, get back to Elon's timeline here. Breaking. Google is now accusing the British government of attacking free speech and undermining people's rights to free expression with the Online Safety Act. Good. Over 12,000 people are now arrested every year in Britain for social media posts. Good. Good for them.
I do care. I care about a lot.
Caring is exactly what Diane Crawford says led her to serve the Juniata County School District and subcontract with Rohrer Bus.
I don't know what else to do. I get Medicare and Medicaid now and SNAP. I had to go on antidepressants because of this.
Crawford says her contract with Rohrer Bus came to a halt on February 1st after she put up this sign which read, "Out of respect to English-only students, there will be no speaking Spanish on this bus."
I didn't mean to be racially insensitive or anything like that.
Crawford claims she never got to explain that the sign was put up to encourage safe and respectful behaviors and was directed at a bilingual student who allegedly had a history of riling up other students.
I didn't know if he was bullying somebody, telling them to do something they shouldn't do. How do you keep control of your bus if you have no control?
That's a good point. She should never have been fired. Whoever fired her should be fired. I think she has every right, and it makes plenty of sense to put up a sign that says, speak English so we know what you're saying. Don't be speaking in other languages. Save that for other places. When you're on this bus, when she's in control, you're under her rules. Good Lord. All right, what's this?
On my first company, I didn't have any money. I just had $100,000 student debt. That was a company in the very early days of the internet called Zip2. But for all companies subsequently, I basically doubled down. I took the money that from Zip2, invested it in X.com, PayPal, and then took the PayPal money, invested that in creating Tesla and SpaceX. It didn't feel right that I should ask investors to invest if I was not prepared to invest my own money. I think the whole other people's money thing is not right. You want to have skin in the game. And as a result of that, I own a lot of shares in the company, and the company, as the better the company does, the more valuable the shares are. But that's because the pie has grown. And so you have to say, like, what's at the root of a lot of the negativity is an axiomatic flaw that the pie is static, that it's a zero-sum game, that if someone else succeeds, it's because they took more than their fair share of this fixed pie. But it's not a fixed pie. Obviously, the economic pie has grown considerably from what it was in the past. The output of goods and services, productivity per person, is dramatically greater than it has been in the past. So when you create a new company and you create new products and services, you're growing the amount of goods and services available to people. So you've not taken anything away from anyone. You've created something new, and you've given people new products and services they didn't have before. We didn't used to have an iPhone. We didn't used to have computers. We didn't used to have cars or be able to fly in airplanes. We didn't used to have many of the life-saving medicines that we have today. These are all new things. The pie has grown tremendously.
All good points. Very interesting. His mentality is very common among people who are highly successful, to where they give it everything. They give everything they have to be successful. And a lot of very successful CEOs and entrepreneurs started by cleaning toilets, like Jensen. Elon is famous for couch surfing. They were making PayPal from the YMCA on a couch in the YMCA. There you go.
Important to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. So the normal way that we conduct our lives is we reason by analogy. We're doing this because it's like something else that was done, or it's like what other people are doing, and it's because it's kind of mentally easier to reason by analogy rather than from first principles. But by first principles is kind of a physics way of looking at the world. And what that really means is you kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true, or as sure as possible is true? And then reason up from there. That takes a lot more mental energy. Important to reason.
This is exactly how I study the scripture now. A lot of people, and I'd say most churches, and they even have like teachings that they share. They only teach what has been approved. They only teach within the lane that they're comfortable. And Elon calls that, by analogy. We do things like they've been done before. But from a first principles perspective is you distill things down to the things that you can confirm, the things that you know are true, and you work up from there. This is the same way I study the scripture. Is I start with what I can confirm. That's why my timeline is based on what I can prove, the facts. The alignments happened in the stars. The events happened on the same days as those alignments. What can we learn from that? Where does that fit within the scripture? Okay, so now we have an anchor point. Revelation 12, 1 and 2 seems to have happened on September 23rd, 2017. Okay, based on that, what can we glean from that? Which that's not a common way that is taught in churches and, in religion. Religion wants you to stay within what they agree is the interpretation. This is why the Pharisees never even knew Jesus was in their midst, because they stuck with what everybody agreed on versus paying attention to things that were happening, the factual information. This is the difference between fomenting a lie and getting to the truth of something. This is why he's successful, is because even in business, businesses will try to replicate other businesses rather than trying to, develop something of their own, starting from scratch. And it can work, but if you really want to, build something that's true, and you want to deal in truth, you've got to start with what's true and provable. And don't lie and say God told you as a way of signifying or validating that why people have to believe you. That just makes you out to be a liar.
By the Space Force, it's got Star Trek.
I was listening to this father-daughter prophet duo this weekend. They were talking about the two witnesses and how God had come to him and given him the answer of when the two witnesses were going to arrive. But the entire podcast, they just spent trying to convince the viewer why you need to believe them. If God is truly giving you information, the information will be validated when it comes true. That's how you'll know God told you. If you say something, about the future, specifically, people who claim to be prophets or claim to be hearing from God, if God is giving you, let's take the lottery, for instance, since that thing's up to like $1 billion. If God gives you the lottery numbers and you play the lottery numbers and you win, that's proof that God gave you the lottery numbers. If you say God gave you the lottery numbers and you play and you lose, that's evidence that God never gave you the lottery numbers and you made it up in your head. Same thing is true about the things we say. If you're going to ascribe something to God's name, you better damn well be right about it. That's one of the things that this curse does, is it goes into the homes of those who ascribe God's name falsely, also known as taking his name in vain.
Trek Enterprise on it. It's like Starfleet Academy. We want to make Starfleet Academy real.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
And go out there and visit other star systems eventually and see if there are alien civilizations. Maybe there are alien civilizations that existed for millions of years, and we just find the ruins of many long dead alien civilizations. I don't know. Well, they might be.
What did you say?
I mean, very long dead alien civilizations. I don't know.
Smarter.
Well,
than
they
us.
might be. I mean, very interesting to see, because, at least according to physics, the universe is 13.8 billion years old, and Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. So
this is why I wonder where the difference is between what religion teaches about the Earth and what physics teaches. So religion teaches the Earth is only 6,000 years old, but physics teach that, the things that we can observe. And granted, there are problems with different types of dating of materials, but there's also very accurate ways of dating things. And it leads me to wonder if the Earth isn't on this cycle and it's, not a process that, it happens every 6,000 years. Every 6,000 years, the Earth gets wiped out, and then God hovers over it and puts it back in order.
if you just increment the time counter by 1 million years, you have to go 3 digits past decimal place to go, bloop, 1 million years. And the oldest writing that we've discovered...
That would explain the Watchers, right? That's one of the reasons why I wonder about this, is because when you read the scripture, the Torah, and it talks about the Nephilim and the Watchers, the sons of God, It's entirely possible that they're from a previous cycle of a previous disaster cycle. And that's why God told Adam and Eve when he formed them from the dust of the ground, don't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In other words, don't interact with the other race that's watching over the earth. You're genetically different. And when he disobeyed, it caused problems.
In archaeology, is only 50.
Well, when Eve disobeyed and Adam approved it.
500 years old. Only 50, that's nothing. That's a millionth of Earth's existence. It was the first writing. And you really have to hand it to the ancient Sumerians, by the way. They got a lot of firsts, those ancient Sumerians. They're really knocking it out of the park, frankly. We're just with the clay tablets and everything. It's thankfully they wrote in clay tablets, so it was quite helpful. They've even discovered schoolwork, like where they teach the kids cuneiform on clay tablets, and then there's the teacher correcting the cuneiform in red ink. It's been going on for a while.
Huh.
So, here we are, a mere 5,500-year-old civilization. Just a baby, really. But with a lot of potential. I think we can go out there, we can make life multiplanetary, understand the universe, find out what's going on. Maybe the aliens will come visit us. Maybe they are here right now. I don't know. Alien registration card. People do ask me, do I think aliens are among us? I'm like, I haven't seen any. Yeah, there's illegal aliens, but there's a lot of those. But I haven't seen any sort of green aliens with antennas on their head or anything like that. Maybe they are. They're just very subtle. But I haven't seen them. So, but I think we want to be the aliens exploring other galaxies.
Yep. Yes, sir. Let's see, Nicki Minaj is right. We need to stand up for Christians that are being persecuted. Christians are the most persecuted religious group in the world. 385 million Christians worldwide face severe persecution for their faith. You never hear about this in the media. That's true. This is the worst time to be a Christian. There's massive persecution. Thankfully, there's places in the United States where we're protected. But the United States isn't the biggest place in the world. There's Christians globally. And Christianity, by and far, is highly persecuted. It's very dangerous to be a Christian outside the United States. Grok. See, I realize more and more that there is such a thing as a dumb person in life. Turn off the lights and vision fails. LiDAR keeps working. May sound logical in theory. Oh, this is what somebody referred to this earlier. Oh, wait, what are you guys saying? Let's see, let's see. There have been a number of civilizations from before this one, and that has been proven repeatedly. This isn't the first civilization. Adam participated. She gave him to eat, meaning participated. Right. True. I said approved, but participated is more accurate. Let's see. Right, as Elon says, a 5,500-year-old civilization, and even that is really debatable considering China counts their civilization as older. Yeah, and that's the thing. The thing that really bothers me is when people state things, as a matter of fact, when they truly don't really know. It's another one of my pet peeves. It's like when you're even talking about anything that happened 100 years ago. Well, maybe 100 years is a bad example. 200 years ago. Anytime anybody is talking about something, even just 200 years ago, it's like there's not a person alive who lived 200 years ago who can testify of the thing, whether it's true or false. So the best we can do is make assumptions based on the evidence. That's true, starting with, whoever can testify of a thing. So when people say something is, 5,500 years old, or, is true. But they weren't there. You're really not speaking accurately. To be accurate, you got to say most likely. This is most likely 5,500-year-old civilization. But just like Fury said, it could be older. I mean, even evidence suggests that the Earth goes through a cycle every 12,000 years. So the 6,000-year cycle is only an occasional thing, from what I understand. All right, see, back to the post here. I realize more and more that there is such a thing as a dumb person in life. Turn off the lights and vision fails. LiDAR keeps working. May sound logical in theory, but the Waymo San Francisco power outage really just disproved it. During the recent San Francisco power outage, Waymo's entire LiDAR-heavy robotaxi fleet went offline. Literally, the entire fleet just stopped operating. Meanwhile, all Tesla robotaxis kept running. This is because he thinks from a first principles perspective. Elon identified LiDAR's failings long ago. And, like a prophet, when you say something and it comes true, that proves that you know what you're talking about. He's been saying this for a long time. Tesla's vision-based system is trained on billions of miles neural nets, and most importantly, doesn't require a city to be perfectly powered to function. An alien UFO could land in the middle of nowhere with the entire city blacked out and it will still work. Humans don't drive with lasers. That's always been his argument. He's like, we've got to be able to get to the point where we're replicating the way humans work. And humans don't drive with lasers. We don't drive with radar. We need our systems to mimic people because people drive well. So we drive with our eyes. We process what we see with our brain, and then we react with our body. Tesla does the same thing, except the brain is AI, trained on billions of real-world miles. Tesla Vision System learns the world as it is, adapts in real time, and improves continuously, and is not dependent on special maps, perfect lighting, or city-by-city infrastructure like LiDAR. This is why it scales. With a simple software update, Tesla's Vision AI can operate anywhere instead of just where the environment was pre-approved or carefully controlled, like LiDAR. This is how generalized real-world autonomy gets solved. I believe this will be obvious in hindsight. LiDAR. Yep. And this is even true in studying the scripture. There are things that seem logical on the surface. And even like the whole Antichrist thing seems logical on the surface. But when you actually look at the details and the real-world implementation, it makes no sense at all whatsoever. All right, J.D. Vance. From J.D. Vance and reposted by Elon, Nicki Minaj said something at AmFest that was really profound. I'm paraphrasing, but she said, just because I want little black girls to think they're beautiful doesn't mean I need to put down little girls with blonde hair and blue eyes. Oh. We all got wrapped up over the last few years in zero-sum thinking. This was because the people who think they rule the world pit us against one another. Nicki Minaj rejects that. We all should. Exactly. And that's exactly what Jesus warned us about as one of the key indicators for events that would happen before he returns. There would be race wars, people against people, nation against nation. Family members against one another. All of these things have happened. Yeah. Yes. Okay. And from Wall Street Apes, Anna Kasparian exposes where the money California is spending on homelessness is going. Let's see. It's being funneled into NGOs, and executives are making $500,000 a year each. Just experiencing what I've seen on the ground in California has made me question a lot about left-wing ideology. We spent $13 billion in Los Angeles alone last year to combat homelessness. You want to know where that money went? That money went to these trash nonprofits who have a bunch of executives making $500,000 a year. You're working for a nonprofit dealing with homelessness. That's my money. That's my parents' money. Okay, this is the heart. Okay, so this is what she's saying.
Spent $13 billion in Los Angeles alone last year to combat homelessness. You want to know where that money went? That money went to these trash nonprofits who have a bunch of executives making $500,000 a year. You're working for a nonprofit dealing with homelessness. That's my money. That's my parents' money. Okay? That is the hardworking people of California paying incredibly high taxes that go to what? So yeah, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And honestly, just experiencing what I've seen on the ground in California has made me question a lot about left-wing ideology. We spent $13 billion.
Yep. All this stuff is being exposed. This is why homelessness is never fixed, because they're incentivizing homelessness. All right, what is this? Gavin Newsom caught in a massive federal money laundering scam. Newsom increased ambulance costs 300%, then requested reimbursements. Yeah, the public prosecutor's office has just ordered police to interrogate me for the. So this is Dries van Langenhove. They're being interrogated for a tweet. Great. I have just received a letter for an interrogation relating to potential crime punishable by prison, namely incitement to hatred against a person belonging to a protected group, anyone who is not white, a white heterosexual male. I will post the letter under this quoted tweet. This is the 13th active court case criminal investigation the Brussels regime has launched against me. They know that this eats away all of my time and money so that I can no longer focus on my activism against the Great Replacement. It would not surprise me, and I have reason to believe such a thing, it would not surprise me if Elon doesn't secretly help these people. That's probably why he reposts this kind of thing. And I know he has his own charity foundation that doesn't even have his name on it. It would not surprise me if he doesn't put his money towards fighting this kind of stuff, because he's vowed to fight against the woke mind virus, and this is the woke mind virus. There was at one point in time where he outright on stage said that he would foot the bill for the lawyers for certain types of injustices. So we know that this is something that he does, but it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't help this guy out. It's ridiculous to be persecuted for just speaking. A new era in space exploration where we're going to go to the moon. We're going to have a base on the moon. We're going to send people. Oh, am I reading what he says?
A new era in space exploration. We're going to go to the moon. We're going to have a base on the moon. We're going to send people to Mars and make life multiplanetary. And I think this day heralds a new age of space exploration.
Cool. Oh, this is terrible. This just happened. Breaking: 75-year-old lady in Seattle gets attacked and blinded by a felon with dozens of extremely violent arrests. Police instantly recognize him.
75-year-old Jeanette Markin standing on the corner, and police say this is Fali Peya walking up with a stick in his hand when out of nowhere he attacks her. Jeanette is knocked to the ground. Bystanders take a picture of the suspect, then rush to help Jeanette. The full scope of what happened wasn't clear yet. Police arrested Peya a block away and found the weapon, this wooden board with a screw through the end of it. Police say that screw went through Jeanette's eye.
Who is this guy? He's a regular. He usually punches. I guess today he decides to escalate things way worse than his usual. Where is he usually? He's usually just up and down Third.
As paramedics race her to the hospital, it becomes obvious police know Fali Peya well.
Do you have the suspect's ID? Yeah, suspect's ID. He's being searched right now. Yeah. You know him?
Oh, he's notorious for random assaults on Third Street.
Court records show Peya had multiple prior convictions for assault, including stabbing someone 8 times at a party.
Was that? I take no chances.
How is this guy still on the street? This just keeps happening to innocent people. That's what Elon says. This is Matt Walsh announcing a new history podcast.
They told you America invented slavery. They told you the Indians were peaceful. They told you colonialism was evil and that Joseph McCarthy was a bad guy. And guess what? They lied. For half a century, generations of American school children have been taught to hate our history, to hate our country, to hate themselves. Time to set the record straight. And since no one else is going to do it, I will. Who sold us the slaves? What were India and Africa like before Europeans arrived? What caused white flight? Some of the most well-known stories from American history are designed to demoralize you. Trail of Tears, Smallpox Blanket Smith, the Red Scare. It's all baseless. It's time for a lesson on what they're not teaching in public schools, on the real history of slavery, of colonialism, of the Indians, of America, and the world. It's time for Real History with Matt Walsh.
Interesting. Libs of TikTok. Okay, so this is from reposted from Elon for the Libs of TikTok. There's no separating. Oh, this is Tim Waltz.
We know there is no separating Minnesota of who we are from our Somali brothers and sisters. It is such a part of it is part of who we are.
This is the man who was governing at the time that they were defrauding Minnesota of $18 billion. Was he in on it?
Such a good part of who we are in every aspect of our
He calls them brothers.
life. And the opportunity that we have in Minnesota, as we said, to make sure there is no reason that every single person in Minnesota has to go to bed hungry at night. We have the ability to feed everyone, to make sure every child goes to school. There's no reason to have lunch tickets and lunch counters and lunch money and that. We have the ability to provide universal meals for breakfast and lunch to every single Minnesotan. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to house every Minnesotan with investments to make sure that they're culturally appropriate ways that we can make sure we lend and have the ability to build housing to transfer wealth down through generationally. And there's absolutely no reason that anyone in Minnesota, especially our children, shouldn't have the option for affordable quality health care. We have the best providers in the world, and we have the capacity to do that. I want to thank our friends in the legislature. I know Steve Elkins is here and others. We have a budget that reflects those values. We have a budget that reflects.
Is it $18 billion? So this is what he was saying while they were stealing $18 billion. Yeah. Oops, I went in the wrong post. There we go. All right, moving on. Elon clips. What's this?
There is like this weird movement to quell free speech around the world. And this is something we should be very concerned about. You have to ask, like, why was the First Amendment like a high priority? Because people came from countries where if you spoke freely, you would be imprisoned or killed. And they were like, we would like to not have that here, because that was terrible. And actually, you know, there's a lot of places in the world right now, if you're critical of the government, you get imprisoned or killed. We'd like to not have that. There is like this weird movement to.
It is a weird movement. And Elon Musk is standing before the Lord of the whole earth and protecting us from that coming here to America. He did that just by buying Twitter. I know it sounds trivial, but $56 billion acquisition in order to save free speech and protect cancel culture. Yeah. See, new polling shows that the public favors a single national AI framework over 50 state patchworks by 20 points, and moreover supports executive action until Congress can act. Total vindication for President Trump's one rulebook approach. Okay. Sure. New polling shows that the public in favor of a national AI framework over 50 state patchwork. So is this AI framework giving the beast breath life? Might be. It might be. This AI framework could be the image of the beast. Beast being a government. So if you give it the ability to speak. Let's see. Demonstration of the farce that modern refugee policy has become, seeking refuge in another country only to return around. All right, this is the vacation thing that came up earlier. Fake refugee scam needs to end. Yep. Question for Yale. How do you claim to be about the free exchange of ideas when 83% of faculty are registered Democrats, with 15% identify as independent and roughly 2% are Republicans? Elite Western universities are far-left indoctrination camps where diversity of political thought is effectively banned. Yep. Let's see, from Demis Hassabis, Jan is just plain incorrect here. He's confusing general intelligence with universal intelligence. Brains are the most exquisite and complex phenomena we know of in the universe so far, and they are in fact extremely general. Obviously, one can circumvent the no free lunch theorem, so in a practical and finite system, there always has to be some degree of specialization around the target distribution that is being learnt. But the point about generality is that in theory, in the Turing machine sense, the architect of such a general system is capable of learning anything computable given enough time and memory and data. And the human brain, the AI foundation models, are approximate Turing machines. Finally, with regards to Jan's comments about chess players, it's amazing that humans could have invented chess in the first place. And all the other aspects of modern civilization, from science to 747s, let alone get as brilliant as someone that gets someone like Magnus. He may not be strictly optimal. After all, he has finite memory and limited time to make a decision. But it's incredible that he and we can do with our brains, given they were evolved for hunter-gathering. Well, I don't believe they were evolved for hunter-gathering. Oh, is this what he says here?
There is no such thing as general intelligence. This concept makes absolutely no sense because it's really designed to designate human level intelligence. But human intelligence is super specialized. Okay? We can handle the real world really well, like navigate and blah, blah, blah. We can handle other humans really well because we evolved to do this. And chess, we suck. Okay? So, and there's a lot of tasks that we suck at that where a lot of other animals are much better than we are. Okay? So what that means is that we are specialized. We think of ourselves as being general, but it's simply an illusion because all of the problems that we can apprehend are the ones that we can think of, right? And vice versa. And so we're general in all the problems that we can imagine, okay? But there's a lot of problems that we cannot imagine. And there's some mathematical arguments for this, which I may not go into unless you ask me. But so this concept of general intelligence is complete BS.
Yeah. Yeah, people really don't understand. This is just basically saying people don't understand AI the way they think they understand it. Same thing with human intelligence. They don't understand human intelligence for the most part. Certainly there are some who are close. But his point is that intelligence isn't general, it's specific. And that's what Elon is agreeing with. Demis is right. All right, why homelessness is never fixed. Fix the problem, you lose the customer. We really need a GLP-1 for opioids and meth. Has to be possible. Better to pump money into the research than to give it to corrupt NGOs. Yeah. It's basically illegal to be a Republican at Harvard. Okay. Starbase is awesome. Anyone can visit it. It's on a public road. AP Style says to lowercase white but capitalize black. Why we lowercase white? So the Associated Press Style will continue to lowercase the term white in racial, ethnic, and cultural senses. This decision follows our move last month to capitalize black. In such uses, we consulted with a wide group of people internally and externally around the globe and considered a variety of commentary in making these decisions. Idiots. This is unfair, Elon says. Very true. Interesting opinion read. The entire project, borderless, post-national, demographically transformed Europe, is incompatible with the alliance they demand America fund. Yep. All right. I think we're getting to the end here. Development is such a lie. Electricity generation per capita. Yep. Literally 0 Republicans in Yale. Let's see, in 30 Yale departments when half the country is Republican is truly outrageous bigotry. Yeah. All right, Grok. What is this? This is not okay. Imagine the outrage if any group but white people were banned. Yet discrimination against white people is not only tolerated, it is normalized. UC Berkeley accused of systematic racism after banning white people from California Community Farm, co-owned by the university, on Saturdays. This is not okay, Elon says. Yep. All right, that's the end. So this is his pinned post for this week. The future is going to be amazing with AI and robots enabling sustainable abundance for all. I hope so. I hope it survives the wrath of the Lamb and the wrath of God. We shall see. All right, let's watch a little bit of Donald Trump, and then we'll see if I can find anything new on 3i Atlas, and maybe that hole in the sun.
Beautiful. Wow, it's beautiful. It's the first renderings of what we're doing. So I want to wish everybody a big hello and Merry Christmas and welcome to Mar-a-Lago for this exciting announcement of the new Golden Fleet. We're calling it the Golden Fleet that we're building for the United States Navy. As you know, we're desperately in need of ships. Our ships some of them have gotten old and tired and obsolete, and we're going to go the exact opposite direction. We're delighted to be joined by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's doing a fantastic job, and Secretary of the Navy John Phelan. Marco Rubio is here, who gave a great few words toward the end of last week. He spoke for a couple of hours on what a good job we're doing, which is true. As Commander-in-Chief, it's my great honor to announce that I have approved a plan for the Navy to begin the construction of two brand new, very large, the largest we've ever built, battleships. You know, you used to build the Iowa, the Missouri, the Wisconsin, the Alabama, many others. We had big battleships. These are bigger, but they will have 100 times they'll be 100 times the force, the power, and there's never been anything like these ships. These have been under
right now, we're actually in a little bit
for a long time, and it started with me in my first term, because I said, why aren't we doing battleships like we used to? And these are the best in the world. They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built. So if you look at the Iowa, the Missouri, Wisconsin, Alabama, and others, but they were similar in size, some a little bit bigger than the others, but
there you go. That's the announcement on the ships. We don't really need to watch that entire thing. Let us get our update on 3i Atlas. Do we finally know what it is?
Images from interstellar object 3i Atlas. It did pass closest point to Earth, but that doesn't mean it's gone, and it doesn't mean that we don't get new data, because it takes a while for us to receive all the data, to receive all the images. We will receive some data as late as March, probably next year, but the images that I want to show you right now is very interesting. So they have analyzed the original image, which is very at the top here, top left corner. That was when the closest approach to Earth was happening on December 19th. The top row, basically, all four images show the brightness maps in different wavelength bands, so that you can have different images of 3i Atlas. And it's interesting, you see it in the second top row image. It shows the elongated and collimated coma, and you can see the tail. And the bottom row shows the brightness map from the Larsen-Sekanima gradient filter. We've seen images with that filter before, and it features, as always, still there, the prominent anti-tail and the anti-tail jet, especially in the sunward direction. The sunward direction, it's towards the lower left of this image. And what Tony Scarmato says is the astronomer who took this image. He says the appearance of this anti-tail jet resembles basically a rocket receding away from the sun. We've talked about the mystery of the anti-tail, that it's collimated, that it's super, super long, and it's not widening out. It's not pushed wider by the solar winds, which it should. So it is still interesting. As soon as I get more data in, I will let you know, guys. This is a quick update, but if you want to learn what...
There you go. So there's the update on that. And then finally, we got an update here from Stefan about the sun and this weird magnetic...
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm your host, Stefan Burns, geologist, geophysicist, space weatherman, cosmic bro, someone who's just interested in what's happening here energetically on the planet. So we look at earthquakes, volcanic activity, space weather, and planetary resonances and more. And well, looking at our sun right now, we see something that is not normal. Now, it's not like we've never seen this before, but this is quite rare. This is a gigantic, a gargantuan, a Goliath coronal hole. This is an area of the sun, the outermost part of the sun, the atmosphere of the sun, you could say, the corona. It's made up of very high temperature plasma. When it's not there, it shows up dark on our specific views that look at the corona. So this is our 211 angstrom view with the 193 angstrom filter on it. And we see this gigantic dark section showing that that part of the solar corona is devoid of plasma. Like, it's basically super low density. It's very low temperature. And as a result, we're actually looking a little bit deeper into the sun, this is pretty rare. I mean, this is one of the biggest coronal holes, you could say, of the 21st century. We have solar cycles. The sun goes through a magnetic flip every 12 years or so. It's like 8 to 13 years is the range, meaning the magnetic field on the sun actually flips polarity. So this could be a northern polarity up here, a southern polarity, and then 12 years later, boom, they flipped. Right now, we're at the very end of solar maximum and the beginning of the descending phase. So solar maximum is when the magnetic field is the most chaotic. There is no clear polarity because it's in the middle of flipping. And then during the descending phase, the new polarity starts to become more and more established. And during solar minimum, you have a very clear polarity with the sun. You have a lot less activity with the sun. Solar flares are much less frequent. And you get these sort of coronal holes more often during the descending phase and during solar minimum. What's been very interesting about this solar maximum is that we've had these huge coronal holes on the sun. This just being one of a few that we've had this year, which are absolutely gargantuan. There are normal, sometimes we'll see them just this size like this, and this is a big coronal hole right there. Transequatorial, slicing right through the ecliptic. That means that it hits Earth with its high-speed stream. But the fact that this one then stretches to the south, even beyond that, is insane. So this is a gargantuan coronal hole. And the reason why I wrote, we have a problem is that there is a linkage between these sort of structures on the sun and how they structure the solar wind and geophysical energy rhythms here on Earth, namely earthquake activity, global seismic energy release, which already is not homogeneous and just like the perfectly normal across time. It goes through these rhythms where things are really quiet, like kind of right now, we're actually in a little bit of a quiet period for the past few days. And then all of a sudden a big burst, which if you look at the longer time frame, 2025 is one of the strongest years for seismic activity ever on record. And we've had these gigantic coronal holes on the sun during solar maximum. And typically they become more prolific, more frequent, and bigger during the descending phase and during solar minimum. So if that trend is to continue, what we're seeing here could be a preview for some really, really insane coronal hole features on the sun, meaning that the sun could shed even more plasma by the time we get to solar minimum. And during solar minimum, they're typically up here in these polar regions like this. But right now, with it being solar maximum, the beginning of the descending phase, we're seeing them also cut through the transequatorial zone. So if it's in the polar regions, those high-speed streams that are emitted, the solar wind's always flowing out, they're not going to interact with the Earth because Earth is sitting here along the ecliptic plane. This thing does. So we have a big high-speed stream impact coming in very, very soon. This is a positive polarity coronal hole. I've been reporting on this now for a couple of videos. I mistakenly called it a negative polarity in one of my last videos, so apologies there. This is a positive polarity coronal hole, but this is one of the biggest that we've seen in the 21st century. I mean, maybe not like, it may be on the hand of 5, right? It also may be like in the top 24, something like that. I don't have an
Yeah, there you go. So that's happening right now too. So still don't know what 3-Eye Atlas is, but it's definitely strange. This could be a fleet, an armada of ships, or it could just be metal and ice and rock. Meanwhile, the Earth has got a giant hole in the plasma, and it's going to have an effect on the Earth, increased earthquakes, increased severe weather. We've already got that coming in spades. It all seems to be pointing to seal number 5 and seal number 6. So as these things start to occur more and more, this caught everybody off guard. This is what he was saying, is we can only count ever recording this happen on a single hand, less than 5 times. That's how rare this stuff is, and it's increasing. These kind of things are increasing. So it's very likely, there's a very real possibility that we could be seeing seal number 6, seal number 5, seal number 6. Oh, we got to go all the way back to the beginning here. There you go. February 17th, 2026. Good candidate for seal number 5. August 12th, 2026. Good candidate for the Earth magnetic pole shift. Seal number 6. Anyway, that is your daily Torment report, plus some additional news. Doesn't look like we have any strong activity in the chat. We'll call it there. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Appreciate you guys showing up. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at 4:30. Meanwhile, I'm going to be working on having a couple of extra videos that we can publish probably for Thursday and Friday. We'll see how it goes. And that's all I got to share with you tonight. Thanks again for joining me. If you like this kind of content, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and make sure to leave a comment if you have any questions or concerns. Now is not a time to be afraid. Now is a time to be excited, because even though these things are coming on the world, we know our redemption is nigh. Jesus told us about these things beforehand so that when they begin to happen, we may believe. And with that, thank you very much. God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.